Well now, what do we have here? It's a beautiful Cherry Burl. This comes to us from Ron at Creations by Ron. He sent this all the way from Ontario, Canada. I just cannot wait to turn it. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, or as we like to say here at Shady Acres Wood Shop, howdy. In the box, Ron also sent this beautiful, I believe, maple burl. Isn't that gorgeous? I can't wait to turn that one either, but the other one has caught my eye. Now Ron has a YouTube channel where he does some wood turning. Creations by Ron. Look him up. He's got several videos on there. This piece is about 12 inches wide. Looks like a Canadian maple leaf, doesn't it? Before we even do anything. That's cool. About 12 inches wide, about 10 inches this way, about 4 inches thick. Now I considered turning it this end up. We're making a bowl, of course, and I considered just hollowing that out and leaving all of the natural edges, which are just gorgeous, and that truly seems like the way to go, until I turned it around and looked at that, and oh my gosh, I don't know what to do with this. It's so beautiful. I just want to hang it on the wall without doing anything to it, but you know, it's a wood turning channel, so we won't do that. And how many times do you get the chance to turn a bowl that already has a built-in pedestal? Isn't that going to be great? We're just going to leave that pedestal right on there. And in fact, we're probably not going to do any turning on the outside except to put a tenon on the bottom so I can grab it and turn it around. I was going to turn the pedestal, but there's really not enough room there to get a base and a tenon and do some turning as well. There's just barely enough room for a base and a tenon. Now, sometimes I'm presented with problems like this piece, with the pieces I turn, where it's hard to find the center. How do you find the center of that, you know? You can measure and measure and measure, and you can draw circles, but where's the center? Where does my woodworm screw go? So what I did is I found the center of this. You can see maybe that I poked a hole right here. I've come up with what I think is a good tip. Let's get over here to the lathe and I'll show you that. So again, the problem is finding the center here that matches up with the center here. And you just can't see through there. I don't have x-ray vision. And those centers need to be accurate, especially in this case where we don't have a lot of room for error. So like I said, I found the center of this. What I did is I put a compass in the middle here and drew a circle at the maximum I could before I dropped off the edge anywhere. And what I've done is I've closed up my chuck jaws. I'm just going to set that against there and bring up my tailstock. And I'm going to drive my live center into that hole that I found in the center of the pedestal. And I just need the top to set flat. It's setting flat. We have our center here. How do we find the center in the top? Anybody? Who's got a guess? I have my knockout bar that came with my lathe. It's got a handle on one end, and it comes through from the far side of the headstock over there. So I'm just going to put that in there, and now when I knock on it like that, that's hitting the center of the top of the bowl. So I'm just going to hit it really hard, and hopefully that'll make an indentation. I don't know that it will. We're going to find out here. There it is right there. A little 3/8 inch circle. So now I know that is the center opposite the center of the pedestal. I'll drill a hole for my woodworm screw. We'll get it mounted up. So you can see I've marked out for my tenon. All I'm going to do is take a 3/8 inch bowl gouge, make that tenon, maybe flatten off the bottom, which will become the base for this piece, and that's it. That's all I'm going to do. Sand and finish the outside. So let me get my mask and face shield on. We're going to be turning at 360 RPM. Well, it's a little punky, isn't it? No problem. We'll harden it up with shellac. Now I'm going to use this diamond point tool, square up the sides of the tenon. That's good. Time for sanding. Well, it looks like all the sanding is going to be done with my Sandoflex. I might switch to 2-inch disc just to sand this down here, but this will actually sand it as well. So this is 120 grit. Typically I do 180 when I do this type of material, bark and bark inclusions and whatnot. But I want to, because I'm not doing any turning on it, I want to bring out whatever I can bring out. So I'm going to start a little coarser, and then I'll switch to 180 and I'll stop there. And we'll just sand everything you can see here, everything that's unturned with the Sandoflex, and I'll show you that as soon as I get my mask on. I think you can see it's starting to bring out some of the color in here. And what that'll do is clean it all up, get the dirt off of it, smooth it out, and prepare it for a finish. And then, like I say, I will go ahead and do a 2-inch disc. Just with the lathe spinning, I'll just sand it with my 2-inch disc. You've seen me do it 100 times, or 200 times, who knows how many times. So that's what I'll be working on for a while. I'll bring it back here in a bit and we'll put some sanding sealer on there. See you in a bit. Well, the sanding is done and it feels real nice, feels real smooth. Now I'm just hoping this will bring out some of the color. This is a sanding sealer, shellac based sanding sealer. It's called Zinsser Seal Coat, and it sure is bringing out the color. I really have mixed feelings about if I chose the right direction for this piece, if this should have been the top. But then every time I look at the pedestal, then I feel like I made the right decision. This wood is kind of dried out and punky in areas, so it's going to take a lot of this sanding sealer. I'll put on at least 2 coats of this and then 2 coats of shellac, applied exactly the same way, so I won't show that part. I'll probably use a rag here in a few minutes to make sure that I don't have any brush strokes or runs or whatever. I'm so glad I went and bought some more of this sanding sealer. I was running out, and I can see this is going to take up what I've got left, except for my new quart. I am going to use a rag right now with some sanding sealer on it so that it'll glide smoothly over this. It's going to look nice. And some people might wonder why I didn't turn any of this. Well, in my view, it's impossible to improve on what we're looking at here. All I would do is turn it away, and that's just plain silly. Alright, well, you can see what I'll be doing. This is going to take some time, and it's just about the end of my day today. I'll be doing this tomorrow as well. See you tomorrow. I've got the piece turned around with the tenon mounted up in the chuck. I'd be lying if I said I trusted that tenon. Like I said, it's punky down there, and I just don't trust it. It very well may break off, but it's all I've got for now. I do have a plan if it does break off, so there's that. And then there's this. You see that big gap there? Got a little gap on this side. So I can either flatten off the top so that there is no gap anywhere, or I considered and might go ahead and follow this taper all the way around and just have the top droop over, you know, and then the bowl in the middle. Now the bowl, that's another situation. I'm not sure if you can see the line I drew for the bowl. You can see it if I spin it up. I drew that so that I would know how big I can go before I drop off the side, like I will right here and right here probably. And then it's way inside of everything else. So that's a pretty small bowl for such a big top. I don't mind dropping off the side a little bit, maybe. What that means is we'll have a gap in the bowl, I don't know, maybe an inch down, maybe a little more than that in this area, but maybe a little bit less over here. And then no place else would it do that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut out a bowl this size and just get an idea of what it looks like. Also get an idea of which way to go with the top, if I want to flatten it off or let it taper out. I kind of like the idea of tapering it out, but it really would only do it. It'd do it on three sides, I guess. Not so much here. You'd never notice it on this area here where there isn't very much. But you'd notice it here, a little here, and a lot over here. So I don't know, but I'll start on the bowl and we'll just get an idea of what it looks like and go from there. We can only turn it 500 or 300. I wish it was 500. 375 RPM. That is slow. 5/8 inch bowl gouge, mask, and face shield on. Well, that's all rotten there for sure. Hopefully it'll get better instead of worse. Well, while I still have a center to provide support, I wonder if I shouldn't decide on the top here. Taper it out or flatten it off. I kind of like the idea of tapering it out. So since I'm the one with the chisel in my hand, ow, I can tell you what, that hurts. I gotta put a glove on, man. Those chips coming off of there dig right in. It'll be a long while before I get to this wing because it's so much lower. These cracks are wonderful, aren't they? Okay, I'm there. It's actually not half bad either, amazingly. Okay, I'm pretty happy with that. Back to the bowl. You know, I can't really go too deep. Well, I'm getting into the pedestal, which is okay, but it's limited in size as well, of course. It's only about 4.5 inches across, and this is, it's only 5 inches, 5.5. So I don't want to hollow out the pedestal completely. I don't mind getting into it some, but I need that weight down there because of the out of balance nature of this piece and how much thicker this wing is right here than anything else. I don't want it all leaning over this way when it's standing up. Yeah, I'm gonna get back to the bowl. Whew, I'm going to take a break. I am beat already. Well, I think I'm going to have to stop. Not quite. I'll go a little bit deeper, but I can't go any wider. This is about 3/8 of an inch over here. This is less than 1/4 of an inch right here, 3/16 maybe. And because it doesn't go outside of the bowl anywhere else, I don't think it would look good there. We have a nice solid top all the way around, and if we were to lose a section out of here, I just don't think that would look good, especially since it gets thinner or closer into the bowl on the as I go down here. So we'd end up with a V shape out of here. And I just don't think it would look good. So I'm going to go a little tiny bit deeper and get rid of this center, and then we'll be ready for sanding. Well, I guess that took care of that. We'll find out if that tenon's going to hold. Kind of rotten down there, huh? Well, I've lost my center here somehow or other. See, it's real smooth right here, going down on the wall. And then I have this ridge over here. And I don't think I can fix it, but I can sand it. I don't know quite what's happened. Okay, I'm feeling a lot better about this now. I don't know why I didn't check before. You know, I said it was out around inside here. As I was cleaning up, because I always clean up before I sand, because I use my air nozzle a lot and I don't want to blow wood chips everywhere. So while I was cleaning up, I happened to look at the chuck, and sure enough, this thing was sitting all cockeyed in the chuck. So I put it back in straight, and then it ran true. So then I fired it up and used my gouge and cleaned up the inside. So it's much, much better than it was. Still needs sanding, of course, but it's much better. I'm going to start sanding with my 2-inch disc at 80 grit. The lathe is going to be spinning in reverse at 350, and I'll show you that as soon as I get my mask on. Piece of cake. So that's what I'll be doing for a while. I'm going to sand up through 400. I'll bring you back and we'll put some sanding sealer on there. See you in a bit. This is just going to pop. Not in here so much, but on the top edge. I cannot believe how smooth I got this. I'm going to have to brush some of this. And we have a surprise in the store for this piece as well. We'll save that till a little bit later. Now I considered filling this in here, and I didn't. I just like to leave things as they are if possible. If I must fill it, I'll fill it. It's just the nature of the piece. It's got some bad spots to it. Had a tough life somewhere along the line, and I don't want to hide that. Celebrate it. That's my idea. Okay, this is the first of probably 2 coats. It's not as bad as I thought it was. So a couple of coats of this sanding sealer and a couple of coats of shellac, and I'll bring you back and we'll take that tenon off. See you in a bit. I can't wait for you to see this. It's a really cool looking piece. I've mounted a block of wood up in my chuck. I'm going to put a non-slip cloth over that and bring up the bowl. Bring up my tailstock. I still have the center hole there for reference, so I can just drive my live center into that. I'll bring up my tool rest. We'll spin the piece up, see if it's running true. Apply some pressure. I can't turn very fast because it's out of balance, so I'm only at about 300 RPM. I'm going to use a 3/8 inch bowl gouge and commence to removing that tenon. Now this is where I usually check for clearance, but I don't need to. We can see that this is way above the base that it's going to set on. And in this case, I want to remove all of it. I leave it raised up just a little bit, but not this time. The wood is so punky that I'm just really hoping it'll stick with us. I'm just going to take my time. And I'm going to switch to a 3/8 inch swept back bowl gouge so I can get in there closer. Okay, that's as far as I'm going to go. So now I'm going to take it over here to the workbench, chisel that off, sand up the bottom, sign it, get it finished, and I'll be right back. Be sure you stick around to the end of the video so you can see the before and after shots of this piece. Well, here it is. One Cherry Burl bowl in the books. Isn't that gorgeous? Isn't that just gorgeous? Come on. You know you love it. Look at that bark. Oh my gosh. How could I have improved on that? Not a chance. Not a chance. Just so beautiful. There's the bottom all finished up. And speaking of the bottom, you can turn it over. You can see all of that. And what are you doing with it turned over this way? Well, you can set a plant in here, a potted plant, or, and this isn't the right kind, you could set a candle in there. Needs about a 3-inch candle. This is a 2-inch in diameter. Needs to be a little bit bigger than that. Candle holder, plant holder, bowl. It's a win-win. And look at all that you get to see. Oh my gosh. Look at that. Look at that. No way to improve on Mother Nature there, that's for sure. I'm not sure what's the front. Is that the front? Is that the front? Doesn't much matter, does it? Thank you, Ron, from Creations by Ron, for sending this along for all to enjoy. If you like this video, thumbs up please. I'd sure appreciate it. If you're a subscriber, thank you very kindly. I truly appreciate that. If you're not a subscriber, you might consider becoming one. I put out regular videos about one a week, and I'd like to keep in touch. An easy way to subscribe is just click my picture you see there near the end of the video. Your comments are always welcome, and I love reading them. So for now, this is Phil, Shady Acres Woodshop, signing off.